Hello, everybody. It's Monday night, and you know it's time for CF1 Action Beanies, joined alongside my buddy Jag here as we have what may be our most anticipated matchup of CF1 spring competition yet, as we got the Titans of our Eastern Group 1 battling it out for control over the group, with Rutgers University taking on Penn State University.
Yeah, and it should be a great matchup. Both these teams are coming in at 7-0. They're both undefeated going into round 8, but I don't want to get too excited about this because we know these teams have a lot of history, and it's usually been Rutgers coming out on top of these matchups. Elsewhere last week, we had a battle of the undefeated Titans, and that didn't end up being too close at the end, but that was in the Central region. This is in the Eastern region, so who knows how this one will go. I mean, I think Penn State, they're coming in here with a bit of a vengeance, right? They feel disrespected. They feel like Rutgers doesn't take them too seriously, and sure, they might not be winning elsewhere, but this is CF1. It doesn't matter what's happening elsewhere. It's all about what happens here tonight, and I know we've got some power rankings to look at, some power rankings that you were a part of, so let's see how these ended up, and I gotta say, that's pretty risky to be putting Penn State above the Scarlet Knights here.
Okay, you know what? I was born in the fires of Mordor, okay? I was bred for this kind of situation. I will tough it out. I looked at Penn State, and I understand people have their doubts, people have their reservations, they have lost to the Scarlet Knights time and time again, but when I was looking at them and I was comparing them to the Scarlet Knights, you know, my little issues, we looked at the map differential, the map score, I mean, the rounds given up, all of that is incredibly close between these two teams. But leading up to this matchup, Penn State has just had a slightly better round differential than the Scarlet Knights, and overall been able to put away their opponents just a little bit faster. And if we're talking exclusively CF1 competition, Penn State has been doing absolutely phenomenal, getting what, I think 4 or 5 of their games have just been straight 2-0s with nearly, I think, 10 rounds at max given up. So it's just consistent performances time and time again and shutting down their opponents. And that's why I've put them up so high, and we'll have to see if they can defend that spot. And I'm just saying, Penn State, if you lose, we're both going down on this ship together, okay? So I'm holding on for dear life, guys.
Well, Scott agrees with you, so I mean, I think that's kind of a thing that you should already realize, oh no, this might be a bad idea, knowing that the secret formula has not worked out thus far. But I mean, I would love to see Penn State come in here and have a bit of a mini upset. I did get to cast them all the way back in week 1, and they looked very, very good there. But speaking of history, Rutgers, I mean, they've had so much history here in CF1 alone. They have won, I believe, 2 tournaments when CF1 was back in tournament days, back before it was a league structure. So, I mean, they've got a history of success almost everywhere they've been. And, I mean, let's be honest, regardless of how this matchup goes, as we look at the standings, both these teams are going to be moving on to round 2. They're too good. They've won too many matchups. There's no way they can fall underneath. There's no way they'll be relegated out of the league going in to the second sprint. But this is for a lot more than just the win. It's really for pride here.
Yeah, exactly. And when we get the standings pulled up on your screen, folks, we'll be able to take a look at the fact that you can see Scarlet Knights, Penn State sitting at 7-0. Now, when you have control of the group, that's not really going to change too many things going forward because you guarantee your spot in split 2. The big issue you got to look at here, folks, is the bottom half of the group, because only our top 6 teams from every single group is going to get into the second split of competition. So that means right now Towson, UNT, and UNF are in a slobber knocker of a back and forth trying to take control of they're trying to share the 2 remaining spots between 3 teams. Sorry, numbers get crossed up in my head. I know words, not numbers. That's when it gets confusing, Jack.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. It is not going to end here tonight. It's round 9 next week. That's when things will be changing. That's when those teams will be relegated out of the league. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But, you know, just got to keep your eyes on this stream, because there are some amazing subscriber incentives that we have coming at you in CF1. And look at these. Currently, we've got 53 subs, but I mean, I want to see that live power ranking show because I want to watch all 3 of you get it completely wrong.
You know, that's kind of the excitement of it. It's like watching a car crash in live action. You just get to see all 3 of us trying. It's like 3 chimpanzees trying to decide how to solve a Rubik's Cube kind of thing. And hopefully one of us gets it right at the end of the day. But I mean, even past the 70 subs, you'll take a look. You got 75 all the way to 225. Knife show match, casters playing ranked on stream, community picking not only the matches for the following week, but getting some CF1 custom merch given away. Caster's going to be cosplaying. I'm going to try and get involved with that one. And Scotty, CF1 Scotty in the chat, going to be dyeing his hair white if we get to 150 subs. And if we get all the way to 225 subs, then CF1 Scotty's going to make sure that white hair looks really good with that Hail of Blades, or excuse me, that Blade Storm coming out. Wrong game. Is he going to pull out that Jet cosplay, folks? And that's going to be a sight to see. Scotty has exactly the figure for a Jet cosplayer, and I cannot wait to see how he does this.
I mean, honestly, you could confuse the two. You might think that Scotty is the real Jet, and I feel like, you know, if you're gonna dye your hair white anyway, might as well go the extra mile. But 75 more extra subs, what it'll take to get there at the end of the day. This is great for CF1. It's great for the viewers watching at home. So we hope that we can get there to some of these goals, so we can bring you this amazing content. But tonight we're gonna be bringing you that amazing matchup. Hopefully, very shortly. We do know the map pool already, and I'm gonna have to pull it up because I accidentally did not write it down. But it is going to be. I got it actually. It is going to be Ascent, Bind, and then if needed, Haven will be the tiebreaker. So no ice blocks and no split, and of course it's going to be Ascent to start us off. It always is, isn't it?
And Jag, something that I really want to point out here is people who've been following CF1 since the fall split and even earlier on in the spring split may know that Rutgers is a team that tends to ban out Bind, especially in the fall split. We saw a lot of Binds being banned by Rutgers, and they were comfortable taking teams to Split actually as the third map because they were so practiced on it. And so now that Split has been taken away and Bind is going to be the map that's going in Rutgers' favor, actually, they pick Bind as their map choice. So it's going to be interesting to see what has changed within the team, because one of the reservations I had about the Scarlet Knights roster is how often they have moving parts going on. One of the consistent parts of it has been Justin playing the controllers, whether it's Brimstone or Omen. But outside of that, they've had roster swaps consistently. They've had agent swaps on long-standing members consistently. And it really feels like a constant back and forth. And that's one of the intangibles I kind of was unsure of how to rate it coming into this match. And I'm curious to see what lineup the Scarlet Knights are going to be bringing in this series.
Yeah, and it's interesting because both these rosters are pretty full. I believe that Rutgers has a full 10-person squad, so they basically have enough to do inter-team scrims. PSU, they have about 9 people on their team, so not a full team to, scrim against, but quite a lot. So we could see subs coming in both ways. But I think one thing you mentioned about Rutgers and Split is really interesting because guess who banned Split?
Exactly.
Rutgers. They're the ones who did it.
Exactly.
So maybe the changes that have been made to the map, aren't really in their favor anymore because, fall was a very long time ago. Split does seem like a kind of a different beast nowadays after all the changes they made to the map geography. And they picked us. They didn't pick Ascent. They picked Bind actually. So that was the map that they used to like banning out. And now they're choosing it. So something must have changed. I'm wondering maybe if they've got some new strats going on. Obviously, Astra came out last week into the competitive pool. We have not really seen her at all. In fact, the only time I've seen her so far was in a show match that Limestone put on last week. I've not seen her at all in any CF1 competition thus far. I'm sure she's been played maybe off stream, but at least I have not seen it to this day. So I'm wondering maybe if we'll see her come out as well.
Also, I want to say that it kind of hurt my heart there when you mentioned Astra going to be available to be played, because I'm fairly confident Astra is going to see CF1 stream competition before my main man Yoru gets any stream love. And that breaks my heart because I love playing Yoru. And, I've even said on stream time and time again that Yoru has an ability that's essentially useless in a lot of high-level situations, the footsteps. But outside of that, there is a lot of cool things that you could be doing. And I'm just saying, give Yoru a spin. If you go up 1-0 in the series, you got some room to breathe. PSU or Rutgers, just lock in my blue boy. That's all I need, okay? Yoru, just give him some time to shine. I guarantee you he won't let you down. And if he does, it's not my fault, okay? I promise.
I was going to say, I love the idea of Yoru. I love what he brings to the table, but I feel like he just doesn't really have a niche yet in Valorant. You have Jet, kind of does similar things in a different way. Basically, you just get around people, you sneak up on them, you can flank, and Jet just does it so much more efficiently in general. Every time I've seen a Yoru basically use his ultimate and just run right into a gun after it ends. I feel like people are still trying to learn him as they go. And, you know, there just are so many other duelists. Astra's in a bit of different spots because there's so few controllers that have primary smokes. So that's why we might see her today. We saw Arrow going on it for just a second, but it was just a bait. It looks like they're going to be going for either...
Well,
they are going to be going for a Cypher, so they're going to be going to a Sentinel.
I just want to say, Jag, real quick, that Justin is hovering my boy. I was talking the best student this morning because I was asking him, I wanted to find out what he was going to be playing, and he told me he would be playing Sky. And I told him, what are the odds you could get Yoru in? So I'm hoping Justin was just doing that for me. And if he was, you know, I appreciate it, but you locked in Omen, and that breaks my heart a little bit. So it was the tease worth it at the end of the day.
I mean, you got to have a primary smoker, right? On a map like Ascent, just going in without a Brimstone or an Omen, or even an Aster would be, like, horrific. So, you know, I'm glad they got your shout out. I'm glad that Yoru, like, it was considered for half a second. But Sky here is really interesting. It's going to be Sky versus, I believe, a Breach on the other side. So Sky, you know, and Breach, they both do very similar things where they both are able to get flashes, get stuns. But Sky has that heal. So that could be a big difference maker. She can't heal herself like Sage can, but she can heal the rest of the team. Considering that I believe they are going to be on defense, the team that has Sky first. That's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. See how this setup goes from the beginning. Yeah, it's going to be Rutgers on defense first, Penn State on the attack, and it looks
something
like
something I just want to point out real quick. Actually, with Sky, a really cool mechanic I saw earlier this week. It was in the Turkish Valorant finals, I believe. I forget which team was running Sky, but one of my favorite tricks I saw is using Sky's bird as a way to entry your other abilities onto site, meaning Sky's ultimate. You can guarantee, if you get your Sky Bird and your Sky Ultimate going into a site at the same time, like on a map like Ascent, you can either force them to shoot down the bird, but then take the ultimate hits, or shoot down the ultimate hits and get blinded by the bird. So it's a really interesting mechanic I never thought about because I just haven't played Sky that much. But just seeing Sky being played in the Turkish finals is just a beautiful sight, and I hope Best Student can put on the show with it. But right there, he just steps a little bit too far. Does get a trade kill, ultimately, but still we have a slow push over the A site here for Penn State at the time being with a 4 versus 4. And it looks like Trees is actually going to be Danny Steele's possible graveyard. No, he's not going to get spotted out by Justin in time. He did go with that Sheriff buy first early on. A risky pick. Another trade coming through. And Jag, we have the spike going down finally.
Spike planted.
And Justin is in tree, but they do have that Cyber Cage, so he's going to be cut off for just a second. I'm not sure if the door was destroyed or if they just decided not to put it down, but Justin's kind of getting pincered there. Scarlet Knights, they're going to be trying to make it looks like mostly a split approach through Heaven eventually. But as you see, I mean, I think Penn State's got a pretty good defense. That turret, the fact that the Scarlet Knights still have their Killjoy alive might actually be helpful, but nope, just as I say that, they end up falling.
Oh, and that's going to be one member left under hell. It's going to be a headshot from Justin. Omen versus Omen. Who's going to win the headshot? Could be crucial from the Sheriff, but Fozzie's going to get the kill with the right click, and Penn State strikes first blood with the pistol round victory.
And what I was going to say, before you brought up the really good thing about Sky, because I actually had no idea about that. That's a really cool mechanic, and hopefully we get to see that in action today, was that I was really surprised by Penn State going for a split approach on a pistol round. Usually you'll have them run onto A. That is like the go-to site for a pistol round here on Ascent. But they keep the spike actually near their spawn and near mid, and then they kind of have that one rotation at A. They get the trade, and then they decide to go back there, but they don't go through the usual archway. They go through tree instead, have a great setup on the retake, and that's going to be Penn State taking the first round.
Oh, and Titan's going to be taking names, getting the triple kill there with the Spectre. Absolutely wiping the Scarlet Knight defense on A site. And Danny Steele also going to be taking down one as Zebek, going to be getting dropped, leaving the Scarlet Knights with just their Killjoy to try and, by all accounts, going to just salvage what's possible. No need to try and save here. Maybe just pick up a free kill to hurt the economy. And oh, that's a rude awakening right there as Fruda jumps past the camera. It does get dropped, but hello, surprise to the Cypher.
Yeah, and that's really the best play you can make there. I mean, you're saving, you're not buying there, so just try to get one or two on your way out. You take a Spectre out of someone's hands, so now, I mean, they're going to have to decide, do they go for a buy here? The person that fell, it looks like they are going to be buying a little bit. They're going to be buying, I think that's a Vandal that's coming on right now for Penn State, so that's a very interesting decision. They should be able to buy as a full team the next round regardless, but the fact that someone fell actually might work out in their favor, because you can tell that Scarlet Knights, this is their bonus round. They're even going to have an Odin online. They're going to be going for the standard Sova play here. Throw in the Recon Bolt, see if you can find anyone in B garage, and just spam away.
Ooh, Titans tried going for the same trick there, but this time Skirt had themselves the paint canister grenade, so that took a little bit of damage off of Titan's HP. You can see just 17 armor and 84 health there. As trades are going to be throwing out here on this A walkway. No real committal coming out from the offense, though. They cannot get past this goal line that the defense has set up, but for the time being, the Scarlet Knights are backing up, giving away possible ground here. But Best Student taking it back, and that's an interesting choice, I guess, by the Scarlet Knights. They're going to be backing off eventually, as they have a 3-on-3, not giving up fully on the site here, going to fight for it instead of choosing for the retake, and that could be their demise because they've lost 2 members at the hands of Fozzie, and with only 1 left standing, Fozzie gonna pick up a triple kill and take down the Scarlet Knights.
And that was a round that the Rutgers really needed to win, but they just aren't able to rotate in time. You saw there were 2 people coming all the way from B. They get to heaven, and immediately the Sova gets just blown up from there. It just seemed like the positioning for Penn State was just too good. And also, they picked up guns along the way. Every time they got a kill, they were picking up one of those assault rifles. So they didn't have the Spectres in their pocket. They didn't need it. They got the better gun. They have the better economy. And this is probably going to be a 4th round in a row for Penn State, unless Scarlet Knight's going to have an amazing Thrifty round.
And honestly, I feel like these Thrifty rounds sneak up on you. Look at that, the Sheriff headshot going to get 1. Rezi K going to be getting the double kill there, but still, it's going to be a small victory for the Scarlet Knights. And right now, you're looking for any kind of those victories you can get. Best Student putting on the show right there with the Sheriff as well, sniffing out a possible flank from Danny Steele, so a good usage of the ultimate. And as Fozzie joins alongside his Jet teammate, Penn State is going full solid Snake right now on the Scarlet Knights defense.
Yeah, and that's going to be a kill on the Killjoy. She had no chance there, but there's going to be the Ares flank just coming up out of nowhere. It's a 2v2. Neural Theft is online for Penn State University, but I don't think that Cypher is near any bodies. One thing, though, is they're actually running all the way back to B, so Danny's still kind of being left out on their lonesome, but this is going to be a great opportunity for them to plant the spike with no one on point.
Yeah, the defense is very much so committed to this A site, and you know, if I was on the defense, I would be choosing to stay strong with numbers, but Best Student goes for a risky peek, 1 versus 1, and Danny Steele, a player on Penn State that you need to watch out for. This Jet making these assault rifles look like operators half the time, and Zebek hoping to make this Vandal turn into an operator, or at least a one-shot, one-kill. So you got 2 targets, and only one of you, my friend. Gonna get the Cypher cage popped. Shock Dart in the backside. Now he's looking for, he knows one's back there. He's gonna find, oh my god, the flick! Zebek, what was that? He misses the second on the Danny Steele, who prevents the miracle recovery. But Zebek, what the heck? What?
Yeah, that was one of the best just instant headshots I have seen in my life. Just, it's a very unfortunate. Look at this. Just whoop.
Oh my god.
But isn't able to get the spray transfer, not able to get a second headshot. But that's going to be a good way to lose their round. It's just really smart, because even though Scarlet Knights haven't been able to pick up a round yet, they are making Penn State buy every time, because they are just dying so much. They're getting kills on their way out. So leaving only 1 alive on PSU's side, I mean, if you're going to lose a round, that's the best way to do it if you're the Knights.
Yeah, exactly. You got to try and find any small wins that you can get. I mentioned it before. If you're not getting any dubs, just lower the scope, you know, look for smaller dubs. And there's going to be no small dubs here, because Penn State's looking for big dubs only. But Justin and Best Student, they're actually going to be turning the aggression onto the offense now, because that ultimate from the breach, it actually was a bait for Penn State. They're down in numbers by 2 now, actually. Justin going to be getting another kill right there, leaving Penn State with just 1 member, and the Scarlet Knights looking to take their first round of the game here. But Fozzie has shown incredible prowess on this character, and unfortunately, Fozzie can't pull out the 1v4, and the Scarlet Knights do get themselves on the board.
And the thing for Fozzie there is that I mean, Knights knew exactly where Fozzie was, because they just had the owl drone out. They hit the dart. They knew that they were playing at least around mid. Maybe you could try to rotate towards B. Maybe you could try to rotate towards Catwalk. But overall, they knew exactly where that kind of vicinity was going to be for that player, so they can't get it done. And now Penn State are actually in a very interesting position because you can see Fozzie, he had full buy. I think someone actually might have just bought for them, or maybe they could. But Danny Steele, I think Danny Steele actually just bought for them and said they're just going to use the Blade Storm. So great team play to make sure that everyone has a pretty nice weapon online. But even after winning 4 rounds in a row, it's pretty shocking that, you know, they can't full buy here, which is just because they kept dying all those other rounds that they were winning.
Ooh, nice arrow. Going to be hitting the back of B site. Not going to sniff anyone out, though, Zebek. Ooh, does step a little too early. That could have been on purpose. You know, there could be some real high-level IQ mind games coming out from the Rutgers Sova player. The Penn State. They are in the lead right now. They have no need to get too big for their britches for the time being. Resi K. A little bit of an aggressive ultimate here. The Hunter's Mark not going to hit that mark. And that's going to be Scarlet Knight's Fruta here, actually playing very cautious. The trigger discipline, not firing any sprays through the smoke. This is stealth at its finest, folks, but he does get sniffed out by Resi K. Takes him down. He has the entire team looking at him. He takes down 1, 2, 3. That's Fruta having an absolute field day with the rest of Penn State. And the Scarlet Knights get themselves back-to-back rounds.
I think you nail it on the head. Trigger discipline, decides to not go for the first kill. Lets everyone walk in, and I mean, once you get the kill on the Resi K, the team should be turning around. They should know that you're there, but gets 3 before anyone's even able to try to return fire. Does end up giving their life for the cause, but it's completely shattered Penn State's economy now. They cannot buy this round, and Scarlet Knights, they are on the up and up. They are on the comeback, but one thing I do want to note is that Skirt did end up using the showstopper there. I think they were looking for a big play at the end. They just hit the button at the wrong time, and I mean, that's an ultimate you won't get back for a little bit, so that could be a huge thing to look out for later on.
Yeah, it is one of the few ultimates in this game that directly can kill somebody. Oh my gosh, Zebek dropping someone to 2 HP, and then the lineup from the arrow. Oh, Zebek put that in a montage clip. Send it to FaZe Clan. Oh my gosh, that was dirty.
So it was so well planned. Here's the alt orb being taken, decides to shoot through the wall, because that's what you can do with the Odin. You can spray and pray, and the shock dart was just perfectly placed. That was skill. That was not luck. And that's actually going to be a trade going out, so Skirt going to be losing their gun.
Oh, Fruta going to be dropping one. Sentinel taking down another one. As Penn State going to be left with just 3 members standing. The Scarlet Knights fully rotating over to this A site. They're going to be heading up towards heaven for this retake. Going to trade out 1 for 1. Titans giving up their life in exchange for best students. But keep in mind, folks, Penn State, they are at a disadvantage with their guns. So anything they get is just going to be icing on the cake. Fozzie does get dropped. But Jet, Danny Steele has the spike, sending it over the B site. This is going to be big. Even if you don't win the round, getting yourself the credits is huge. But Danny Steele, this is a real gamer move right here, Jag. Baits it out. Nobody bites. But I love the mentality on it.
Yeah, no one bites because no one is there. They are all at A, and now the full rotation comes in. But I do like it. I agree. You know, you're playing patient. You're not just running in and planning it. You want to make sure that you're not one-tapped while you're planning it. But now you're about to get one-tapped by this Odin. Only 32 health. Still is able to get out there. Uses the dash, so there is a little bit of life for Danny Steele. But I don't think they're going to be long for this world because they are going to be running up by so many people. And there it is. There's going to be the 3K with the Odin. That's why this gun is so expensive. It's just so powerful. You can run and gun with it like nothing else that exists elsewhere in the game. And Rutgers, don't call it a comeback, but they're now 1 round away from tying things up. The good news for Penn State is now they can finally buy again. But you got to think, you know, they're just letting a lead slip right through their hands right now.
Yeah, it's just a little unfortunate, but you know, it is only 4-3, so this isn't out of Penn State's hands just yet. They still have the ability to keep control. And honestly, this is the kind of game we expected coming into this, a back and forth kind of affair. So even with Penn State getting out ahead, it never felt like that lead was going to be held on to the entirety of the game. The Scarlet Knights roster and Penn State having a long storied rivalry going back even before Valorant, even before esports, going back to the traditional sports days. These two schools have never had a fondness for one another, and it's safe to say that's carried over into the Valorant competitions as well, with some fire memes on Twitter. But Right now, the Scarlet Knights looking to take control of the momentum here. Best Student with the pre-fire is going to be looking very good and looking to sure up the round here with the Sky ultimate. A flawless from the Scarlet Knights, a 3K for the Sky, and that's going to be a 4-4 round.
It is going to be all tied up, and yeah, you nailed it on the head, though. Again, we thought this would be pretty close, pretty back and forth. I was shocked that Penn State got out to such a nice lead, but should have realized the Knights, they always are going to have something in the back of their pocket. They bring it back, and I mean, that's a great round win once again, because Penn State, their economy now is just completely dwindled. They are force buying here. They're going to have to go with a Spectre and a Bucky. I mean, Fozzie, their top fracker, is going to be going with a shotgun, and they're on the attack. So if you're on the defense, it's not as big of a deal, because usually you can just play around a corner, but you're going to have to run in very aggressively.
Speaking of aggressive, Danny Steele getting right into the thick of it. That was a 1v3, and the only thing standing in the way was the flash on their eyes. So Danny playing with fire. But Justin is going to actually find them. I didn't even see the lineup that Justin had on that, but does in fact take down Danny Steele, giving the Scarlet Knights on the defense a brief lead, but Skirt somehow snuck through the smoke, got behind enemy lines, and took down Fozzie. This is going to be the Scarlet Knights now looking to cover the rest of this round. They got 2 members left in their way, 1 member left in their way. And Penn State trying to salvage this round with as many kills as they can. Resi K only going to get 1. And the Scarlet Knights have their first lead of the game.
Best Student going with their classic. That was an interesting choice, so they could have just reloaded. I think they wanted to get that kill as quickly as possible. Don't get it, but they do get their round overall. It's not flawless, but it's still great. I think the biggest thing for Penn State University is that before, they were going for split pushes. We saw them always leave the spike around mid, or at least they wouldn't fully commit to a site. Now, it seems like these last few rounds that they've lost in a row have been them just running in as a team. And every time they try to do that, they immediately get flashed out by the Sky, that or they immediately just get taken down by any of the members of the Knights. They're going to try to go for a split push once again, but, I mean, they can't buy. It's just back and forth. One round they can buy, the other round they can't, and I think a big part of that is because they force bought a little bit ago, and I think that was a big mistake.
Yeah, they took a big risk with a force buy, and maybe if they were able to win the round, you'd be complimenting the force buy.
Absolutely.
The cojones it took to go with that force buy, but unfortunately, that is the gamble you take with your economy. And now Penn State with sheriffs in tow. They're going to have to try and find their kills with just the sheriffs. It is possible, and I will say, it is very easy to snowball one of these rounds, and it helps having that Jet Blade Storm ready to go. As Danny Steele going to be trying to carry this round for the Penn State squad, holding up on the high ground here, looking to take priority over anyone controlling this heaven, and the spike's going to get dropped.
There is going to be the Rolling Thunder coming in. Can they find kills with the Blaze Storm off of it? It's going to reset. They get 1. And now numbers are all even again. But can they pick up any guns? No, they can't even take a lead. They're going to be losing, and they're down 3v4. They have the Hunter's Fury. I'm sure the Sova is playing really far away from the spike right now, and it's just going to be waiting to go for that recontest of the ultimate once someone goes for the defuse.
Oh, that's going to be 1 dropped. Justin and Skirt each getting themselves on the kill feed. Penn State relying on Resi K and the Hunters mark, but no marking will be done right here. The Fury will be felt, and he's going to try and push them off. He gets 1 kill there on the Justin, but it will just be scrap salvage there because Penn State cannot stop the defuse. Scarlet Knights get the 6th round on the board.
Now they're going to have at least a guaranteed tie going into halftime, depending on if Penn State can pick it up or not. Best case scenario for the Knights, 8-4. Worst case is that 6-6 draw. And there, Penn State, they did exactly what I thought they would, but the problem is that you have to have a bodyguard for Resi K when they're using Hunter's Fury. They are completely vulnerable. You saw what happened. They got 1 hit, and then immediately after that, they got nothing else. Then someone is able to chase them down. They do get the kill, but they aren't able to stop the defuse from coming through. So if they had played that a bit more safe, played more around their Sova, that could have been a big round win for Penn State. But instead, they're going to lose their 6th round in a row.
Oh, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Best Student barely able to get a flash down, and somehow nobody dies in that exchange, but Skirt kills themselves, and then Titan gets a kill. What did I just watch there? Justin trying to bring us back down to reality with a kill on the Titans, but Jag, help?
I don't know. I'm thinking back to when they used the showstopper on accident at the end of a round. I'm thinking, you know, maybe that was the right play if that's how you're gonna use it. Explosive damage is gonna hurt you. You can blow yourself up with the rocket launcher. They tried throwing it at the perfect angle through the doorway. Instead, it ended up just ricocheting off of the doorway itself. And it seems like still, despite that mistake, that it isn't to be equal footing.
Fozzie gonna be one of the members looking to retake the site here. Scarlet Knights have the defuse going, but Penn State, I said retake, but they never lost control of it. They got themselves their 5th round on the board, and we're looking at a 6-5 score with 1 round remaining in the half.
And that's really important there because it stops the bleeding. They have been... Okay, we're gonna see what happens here. Yeah, they just back up. They launch it right into the doorway instead of out into the alley. Very unfortunate play, but the biggest thing about that for Penn State is it stops the bleeding. It lets them buy once again, and you already know the Knights are going to be able to buy. They've won quite a few times now, so it's going to be even footing for the first in what feels like forever. The biggest difference, though, is that Odin is still going to be online for Sebek. They have been pretty dang good of it so far, and this is the worst play you can make right now if you're PSU running into this. They're going to back out, so they're not going to be committing. Just pretty smart. See what Justin does with this Omen ultimate.
Ooh, and we should say the Sky ultimate's being used as well, so Rutgers using 2 ultimates early on in the round here, and whenever you see that happen, you can tell that there must be a game plan with this. This isn't reaction. They aren't evaluating Penn State's decisions and ultiing off of that. They know what they want to do with their ultimates, and they came in with that plan, and right now, look at the pincer that's coming onto Danny Steele here. He's got stuck between a Raze and an Omen, and the paranoia is going to send him right to sleep with nightmares. Good night, Danny Steele. Penn State left with 3 members. But they get a kill, and this is where they start to swing back. Rezi K and Arrow are turning the tides. Momentum is changing, and Penn State, they are in the lead now with 45 seconds on the clock.
You know exactly where Justin is. Justin doesn't have that much ammo, does win 1, but can't win 2.
Oh my god.
Almost sized the shock dart, but Sebek has to stay alive. They can't, and Rezi K gets a 3K in the spike plant. At the end of the day, it's not going to do anything because that is halftime. No extra credits when you swap sides, but Penn State did it. They gave up a pretty nice lead, but they're able to bring it back. It's a tie ball game, and I think this actually is kind of in Penn State's favor because Ascent, generally a defensive-sided map, so being able to tie it up on the attack, no harm, no foul. Now you've got to see what you can do on your own defense. The biggest thing, though, is this Cypher needs to get value. I mean, Arrow has done a pretty good job on the attack, but Cypher is not really an attack-sided agent, I would say. You know, he can do a really good job with his camera, but beyond that, everything else seems to just be defending a point once you plant the spike. So now that you guys defend the site from the beginning, this should be really good for Penn State, but we'll have to see how it actually ends up.
Meanwhile, Rutgers, I know Best Student loves to just hold W key. If you check his keyboard, that's the only key that doesn't have a letter on it anymore because he's just holding it down constantly and just smudging it. So we'll see if that holds true for this offense. But the Scarlet Knights going for information so far early on. A good decision, especially in the pistol round, not wanting to overstep your bounds too much yet. Sebek flying the drone over top. And the Scarlet Knights, they've yet to make their choice here. They have played around going through mid, but it looks like A might be the choice. Again, they have a minute left, and they're going with a very slow, cautious approach here. They're really looking to take the round, not looking to just get the spike down as you might expect teams would be constantly trying to do, especially in the pistol round to guarantee that income. They're looking to secure a round. They're looking to out-rotate and outthink their opponent. And you know what? Just wallbang them once or twice. But Titans is going to make sure he's hitting the marks and actually one-ups them with the wallbangs, taking down Skirt, leaving us with a 3-on-3. And the retake's going to have to try to come in with Rezi K actually making it a little bit easier, dropping Sebek. The 3-on-2. Fruta gonna try and win this duel. Does in fact take down one, but Fruta has to win a 2 versus 1 in the pistol round. This is never easy. And Arrow makes it an impossibility. Penn State wins the 2nd pistol round of the game.
They do indeed, and they're gonna get another round of victory after this once they're able to buy their Spectres. And I think there you're just seeing the power of the breach. I mean, You end up dying early, but Titan's able to kind of peek out after the flash goes out, has no fear, able to get the wall bang, able to get the first kill. Yeah, this is the exact play I'm actually thinking of. Just look at this. Just looks all the way to the left. How do you get that shot off? It lands. That's what opened up the fight, and from there, Penn State, they're just able... I think that actually Arrow was on a late rotation, and generally, I would say, oh, that's not good. But there it worked out perfectly. Arrow was able to drop in just when they need them. They get that extra body on the point to take out the Killjoy turret. And Penn State, they're going to have a lead once again.
Scarlet Knights going with a more targeted approach this time around. You can see Fruta has been left alone on the B site, basically left there for bait, and Fozzie with the judge is going to be taking down 2 members of the Scarlet Knights. This quick push from the Rutgers lineup has fallen apart at the seams, with only Zebek left alive in a 1 versus 3.
They will get the spike plant, but I don't think they're going to get much else beyond that. It is a 1v3, just like you said, and you might be able to catch out someone in heaven, but there's going to be people coming at you from tree as well. You're getting completely pincered in. You can't even find the exit frag, and that is going to be a defuse. But again, Knights losing rounds, but taking out some enemies on their way. So we'll have to see if Penn State decides to go for some Vandals, again, for those who have fallen, or maybe they'll go for a bit of a lighter buy, because this is going to be the bonus round for the Knights, but remember, that bonus round last time did go the other way. Oh. And look at this positioning.
Oh, the flick is the most impressive part of that. Saw the bird, had a split second to react, flicks into the wall to avoid the flash, and that's when he just baits everyone in, and that's where the judge is most lethal. I mean, look at the buys right now. This is the 3rd round in the half, and we don't have a single AR on the board. Judges, Spectres, we got Frenzy in there as well, and then a whole heaping of Sheriffs. It's looking like the Wild West here for the East Coast squad, as the Scarlet Knights trying to take control with the eco here, but the Paranoia Jet Dash and Jump combo looks so beautiful. It's so pretty when it's executed to perfection.
Alright, so that answers my question. I was wondering last round if the Knights decided to try to force buy there, and I guess they must have, because they cannot buy anything this round. So they wanted to tie things up. They didn't want it to go to this, but it did go to this, and Penn State isn't going to get a flawless round. But with only a Killjoy left alive, it is going to be a 3K for Danny Steele. So we talked about gambles before. Penn State, they forced, didn't work out. Knights, they tried their own force buy, didn't work out either. So both these teams, when in doubt, maybe it's just make the safer play. Don't take these extreme risks, especially in a game that's this close, because all of a sudden Penn State has jumped out to a 3-round lead, and they're only 4 rounds away from taking this first map.
Let's go, Fozzie. Sticking with the judge. You love to see it. 3 rounds in a row for the Omen from Penn State, using the judge. And I mean, on top of that, Danny and Arrow are going to be sticking with the Spectres. And that's just because they haven't died, folks. The fact that they have yet to die in this early part of the half means why spend the money on the assault rifles? You know, you still have more credits to gain. Just drop the 1K that you need on the armor and just keep seeing how the Spectre buys, or how this judge buy does, and how far it gets you before you have to really spend your own credits. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Knights lineup, not in the same sort of lavish lifestyle as Penn State is with their guns. Ooh, Fozzie tried to wait that one out. Maybe thought it was a little useless to teleport there because of the angle, so just tried to get a smoke out in the nick of time. Not too sure, but ultimately Penn State is down now with a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, now Danny Steele is falling pretty big. Took some damage to the fire. Justin landing some shots. And Danny Steele, I'm not sure exactly what hit them, but when they jumped all the way up, they actually took just a little bit of damage. I think it was only like 5 damage overall, but someone found them out. Someone tried to stop that play from going over the top. It worked out, and the Knights got a 1-person advantage. They don't have any ultimates, but they're playing this super smart. They're playing it super patiently, and now they're going to try to commit to B site.
30 seconds left.
Oh, we got Killjoy ultimate being dropped. It's going to be the Scarlet Knights. Fruta using the Killjoy ultimate to clear off the site. You can see in the back corner, there is going to be room for the PSU Sova to stay hidden and possibly be a nuisance. But Justin is going to be taking down Danny Steele, who was using that Blade Storm. It's not going to find any eliminations. And just like that, Best Student and Justin tag team to take down the Penn State lineup and get the Scarlet Knights their first round of their attacking half.
The lockdown comes out at the perfect time. They place it, they run in. It's also a great distraction because then Justin can just roam on the flank as they had been the entire time. So they catch someone out there. They catch, I think, actually 2 people out when it's all said and done. Scarlet Knights, they do get one back, but as you said before, Penn State, they didn't buy there. They kept what they had. They used the Blade Storm. They kept a lot of Spectres. And now Danny Steele has this Operator. We have not seen an Operator online just yet. This is the first time I believe in this series we have, and they're still going to be trying to find something here on mid.
Oh, okay. I misread the minimap. I thought Fruta was peeking towards mid, but there's going to be the operator is going to actually get sniffed out by the Sova arrow, and that's going to be a survivable ultimate. Zebek missed the first two, so there was no way the kill could come through, and then Danny Steele makes them pay for missing their shots because he doesn't miss his, but Justin will find the return kill onto Danny Steele. Note the operator, though, was picked up by Rezi K. That's a huge pickup right there, keeping the operator in the Penn State hands.
It is indeed, and although there were some great plays there by Danny Steele, uses both of their up drops just to stay alive, getting out of that ultimate, ends up falling because there's someone just following them down, and oh boy. Scarlet Knights now, they're going to have a wide open point A. They've played this patiently once again. No one's going to be switching, but Fozzie is there of an Odin, but only gets one.
Yeah, Fozzie only able to take one, will be giving up their life in trade for that, and now Penn State has two members. They're going for the retake. Oh, but Justin, it's pure luck. Some may say skill, and some may say game IQ, but we'll leave that discussion for another day because Arrow's the one who is the center of attention here. Gets snuffed out by the recon arrow, and that will be Justin securing a triple kill. And the Scarlet Knights get their 8th round on the board. You know, I've noticed, Jag, the Rutgers squad, they cannot start a half on top. Losing 4 to start the first half, losing 3 to start the second half. Do they need the warm-up, or are they just trying to give us a good show? You know, that's what I'm kind of going back and forth with.
You know, honestly, I would not be surprised if the Knights were just kind of having fun of it. You know, just giving them a chance. I mean, we already know that they consider themselves, you know, kind of out of Penn State's league. They don't really consider Penn State a threat. So maybe they're just trying to have a little bit of fun with their food. But regardless, the score is close. Penn State does still have the lead. They don't have an economy, though. So again, after winning a few rounds in a row, it immediately kind of falls apart. And it seems like the Knights really love doing this. They love, you know, just giving a few rounds here and there and then end up getting one in. Oh, Fozzie almost falling once again the exact same way, but is able to teleport out of it.
And that was very nicely done there. It seemed like Fozzie had the escape plan already prepared, as he knew when the grenade came, he had to TP into the smoke and get fully covered from the Rays. Got out nice and alive, leaving Penn State with a full 5-player defense. And the Scarlet Knights, you can see on your minimap, folks, best student in control of the spike, going to be sending it from the A site they were playing with all the way back over to B. And this is where the mental game really starts to come into play here. This is where, regardless of how well you can shoot a shot, you can win rounds off of how you played this moment here. Because you look at the defense, they have one Cypher. They have no traps, no trips, no utility from him on the site here, and he's just left alone. So it's going to be left up to Penn State to return fire. You can see he catches one on the camera, and that's going to be Silva booking it over the site. Skirt trying to make amends for the previous ultimate. Will be firing it, and that's a headshot on the Fozzie with the showstopper, blowing his brains out, leaving just Penn State with 3 members left on the defense, and Rezi K knows the Sheriff is not going to be what you need to get the job done. Rezi K needs to pick up another gun. You need to get a kill in an optimal spot to do that, Jack.
Got your trail.
Yeah, now the Trailblazers out, so they're going to find out where 2 of them are. They're also going to find out there's someone trying to rotate all the way behind, so Danny Steele is being forced all the way off the point. Honestly, all of these ultimates we've seen come out from this guy have been pretty incredible for the Knights, and Danny Steele might get one on the way out, but that isn't going to be enough. And now, I mean, we've already said this a few times, it is all tied up, and that's not really surprising at all, knowing these two teams.
I know, it's not very surprising here as Skirt gets a chance at redemption. We showed the replay of Skirt with the self-destruct, so it's only fair we show Skirt pulling the showstopper out and making amends for that earlier discretion. So, very well earned there, Skirt. We're proud of you. That's character development right there. And in the series
1 out of
itself,
3.
You know, yeah, in the individual
1 out of
game.
3. I guess you could technically call it 2 out of 3 if you blow yourself up, because then you are still getting an elimination one way.
I mean, Jag, in baseball, 1/3 is Hall of Fame numbers right there, okay?
Yeah, that is true, but this isn't baseball. This is Valorant, and I think right now Penn State, despite losing a few rounds in a row, are in a pretty good position because the ultimate economy is highly in their favor right now. Question is, what do you use first? And I think it has to be the Rolling Thunder. The Rolling Thunder is a great way to re-engage a point once the spike is being planted. Use it before the spike is actually planted, because that will like boop them off. It'll knock them up into the sky, and then they won't be able to get it off. And speaking of getting things, that's going to be a kill.
And that's going to be huge for the defense there. They have been on the back foot for the last few rounds as the Scarlet Knights have been surging. But getting that kill. And on to Justin as well. I mentioned Justin as one of the players consistently on the Scarlet Knights roster throughout the entire year, throughout constant roster changes. We've seen Justin stay true to his role on Omen, sometimes Brimstone. And now he's trying to put up numbers on this hero, on this agent, excuse me. You know, I guess tomato. They can, you know what? These characters, they're heroic to me. Okay?
Potato. Yeah, they are, honestly. Like, I think it's even cooler when you know, they don't have like the superpowers. Like, they're just kind of regular average Joes, like a Killjoy
like
who's still gonna
Batman.
get kills. Absolutely.
Oh, but Skirt's trying to be superhuman right here and pull off an insane play, getting down Arrow, and now looking to take on the operator player, Danny Steele. They do get the spike down in time. That's a big note to have. But in the meantime, Fruta takes down Resi K. Best student also fell previously. And this Blade Storm is going to be crucial for Danny Steele and Penn State to take this site back. They have one member looking at your minimap, folks, sneaking up from behind, but Fruta sniffed him out. Fruta turns around, comes back, takes down Danny Steele, gets a 4K, and the Scarlet Knights are on top yet again, 10-9.
And I love the patience by Danny Steele. I love the rotation from Fozzie, but I think because Danny Steele didn't run in, that it actually gave away the plan. Because the plan was basically just have Fozzie try to catch them out in market, try to kill Fruta, and then go for the point. And because Fruta's probably like, why isn't anyone approaching me? Like, we know that there's someone missing, so I'm gonna look behind me. Oh, there they are. That's a coincidence. And then you win that fight. That's, you know, that's kind of a, we lose that fight, that it doesn't go your way, but you do win the fight. You get the round win, and now this lead has once again flip-flopped to the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, and the Penn State squad, a little worse for wear with their equipment. Going with the economy this time. Sending out the Wolf early on. Fruta is not going to peek that. Choosing to throw out the grenade instead. And Penn State going to back off from the engagement as well. Oh, I say that, but Fozzie, never mind, didn't get the memo. Maybe he lost cell connection or something. Going to be dropped, giving the Scarlet Knights the okay. Oh no, excuse me, I spoke too soon. The Scarlet Knights still don't have Spike in possession yet. Justin going to be picking that up just now. Over on the back towards B middle. But that won't really matter too much if you're picking up the kills. Scarlet Knights picking a 3-for-1 trade apart. And Arrow, the last defense of the Penn State lineup, going to be hit with a grenade. And this is not looking good for, for Arrow.
It's not, and I swear that Skirt must have like a third eye when it comes to like throwing their blast pack, their paint shells, because every time they are landing some damage. Sometimes they're even finding enough to get kills. Only are able to survive that with 4 health, but they are able to get it done. Here's where things get very tricky for Penn State. Last round, you didn't have an economy you couldn't buy. You lose this, and the game is basically over. In fact, I will say it is over, or at least this map will be over. It is a first of 2, best of 3, so there will be another chance elsewhere later on, but this is the last time they can go for a full buy. If they win this one, if they're able to win 2 in a row, then even if the Knights get to 12 rounds, it'll be all right. They'll be able to contest for a little bit longer, or at least they'll be able to keep it closer. But right now, the Knights, they're on the penultimate round. They win this one. Penn State will have nothing later on, and Penn State, I think they know that, and that's why they're trying to play this so aggressively right now.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's still using the tailwind directly into the Scarlet Knights lineup. Does not get any eliminations nor giving up their own life, so overall, nothing to really write home about. And that will give us a brief moment to breathe here after a very chaotic initial few seconds between these two teams. But Scarlet Knights consistently like to do a little bit of mind games with Penn State. They like to tick the clock down. They like to make them think. They like to make them guess. Don't want anyone getting a cheeky free peek. Any free kills? Ooh, Danny Steele almost actually just got dropped right there. Standing in the middle of nowhere when the smoke went down, but able to get out of dodge. And as we hit 45 seconds, this is usually the time the Scarlet Knights hit the go button. And that's where the Killjoy ultimate is going to be dropped. That's going to be the Scarlet Knights trying to take the site Watch Titan's ultimate. That's going to be crucial right here because that ultimate coming back could, in fact, delay any Scarlet Knights offense. Zebek, though, trying to sniff out any defense of the Penn State squad with the Hunter's Fury. Nobody's going to be taken down just yet. No Breach ultimate will be used either by Titan. An interesting choice. And the entire Penn State lineup is now just decimated right now behind the lines. Best Student comes up from the flank, comes up from the spawn, and takes down Penn State, setting up game 1 point.
That was one of the best Hunter's Furies I think I've ever seen in my life. It didn't get kills, but it got hits on 3 different people on the side of Penn State. That's why they were all so weak going into that fight. I think that's why Titans didn't want to commit the Rolling Thunder, because they were the weakest on their team. But I feel like you just got to risk it for the biscuit. You got to throw out whatever you have, because you might still have your ultimates. Like, look at your buy. There is 1 Phantom online from Danny Steele. Everything else is below that. Actually, there isn't a Be a Vandal from Resi K as well, but Spectre, a Judge, you're just not going to be able to go for blow with these guns that you have.
Oh, Skirt's able to take down Fozzie, and now Titan is actually unloading a whole clip into Best Student and the Best in the Sky ultimate. Showstopper not going to find any return on investment, but now the Breach ultimate's going to be used, and they're peeking a little bit too late after the ultimate's already been thrown out, so you're not going to get anybody. But oh my gosh, Titan's able to actually take down Skirt. And that, the only time you're ever able to find those kinds of kills is where you force an ultimatum. Either you peek and take the gunfight, or you just get your head blown off.
And I think that you peek because there was someone there with you, but you don't do that. Instead, you do get the equalizer. And it's not impossible for the Knights. It's not actually impossible for Penn State. They still have the neural theft. They got to get another kill, I think, and try to use that to get some information. But there are no bodies to be found. There's one on the ground, though. Maybe they'll be able to get one there.
Ooh, Danny Steele trying to shoot at toes. No such luck, though. Justin going to be taking down Danny Steele, actually. Now we got 2v2. Make that 2v1. Justin, the lone member, trying to win this out for the Scarlet Knights. But Penn State are able to stay alive. And they pick up their 10th round.
Yeah, and you know, I completely called it wrong. I was like, man, this is over. I guaranteed it. My guarantee is apparently not worth too much because Penn State, some way, they pull it out, and that's huge for them. They still can't go for the full buy. That's the most important thing to take out of that. This was a very hard round for them to win, and they lost a lot of people again along the way. I think that's the biggest thing, is usually when Penn State wins, a few bodies drop from their side. Scarlet Knights, usually they win only losing 1 person or 2 at most generally. So they're able to keep their economy a bit healthier. It's still match point for the Scarlet Knights. So even with that Penn State round win, this could be the end right here. Penn State are able to, you know, keep themselves in this for just a little while longer.
Oh, you have the ultimate coming out from Omen. Just doing a little bit of scouting by the looks of it. And you can see Danny Steele, the lone member on the back site. They don't know he's here. Danny's still going to peek. Does not find the kill, but does turn around and get a second and a first and a second. I got a little too big for my britches because Fozzie's the one who picked up a double kill with the Judge. And Penn State, they are firing back right now with a 3-against-1. Fruta, we have seen Fruta put up some big multi-kills, but he's going to have to do a lot more than just multi-kill. He got himself Titans, but Danny Steele gets the 3K. And Penn State, they're 1 round off forcing us into overtime here, baby.
And that's just one of the biggest oopsie daisies you can make in Valorant. You're not checking Boathouse on Ascent B. That is almost guaranteed where someone is going to be if they're not already off the point. That is almost always the location you want to check, especially if someone is planted. Obviously, in this case, they're defending, but I mean, they didn't even look that way. They just kind of ran in, and then when they probably saw a glimpse of someone in there, and instead of chasing it, they just kind of stood outside. You've got 2 people there. You had the numbers. You could have a chase on the kill instead. You get kind of pincered in. There was somebody coming on the rotate for Penn State, and that's a big part of they lost that. 2 rounds in a row. It has been a bit of a thrifty buy from Penn State. 2 rounds. They've stayed alive. This could be the tie right here. If Penn State wins this, we're going to go to extra rounds. They have to win 2 in a row, and that changes the whole name of the game.
Yeah, well, Titan's going to have to get out of this sticky situation before we even deal with that overtime. And actually, Titan's able to take down Justin. A big kill there for Penn State, even with Titans going down. That is a massive trade in members. Leaving us with a 4 versus 4. Best Student getting damaged just a little bit, but the Scarlet Knights have gotten themselves onto A side here, and they are getting the spike down. But now, the Hunter's Fury is going to come out, sniffs out Best Student. No more spike planting coming through, my friends. That's going to be a delay on planting the spike. And with a 4 versus 3 in favor of the defense here, Penn State, they're set up to take the site. But Fruta is going to take down Arrow. A blind, risky peek there, and Arrow and Danny Steele are both going to be throwing themselves towards 6 feet under, because Penn State, they had the numbers advantage, but all of a sudden, 2 bad peeks, 2 bad trades, has this in the Scarlet Knights' favor. And oh no, that's going to be big. Skirt's actually going to get dropped. Oh, it's Rezi K taking down 2, and then Fruta's going to take down 1. It's a 1 versus 1 here. Rezi K, Fruta for Penn State's life in this first match, and Rezi K with the classic is going to take him down. Even with the Killjoy ultimate going off, it's just going to give us some time to admire the 4K from Rezi K and the fact that game 1 is going to overtime here, baby.
That was one of the most clutch plays I've seen in my life. Gets 3 at the end. Has to pull up the classic for the last one. Watches Fozzie just jump in and die. I think they maybe thought they could catch the Killjoy off guard. They're the ones who were caught off guard, but it's okay because their teammate is there to get it done. And finds 1, finds 2, and then finds 3 later on. And now we're at that overtime scenario. So if you have not seen it yet, it is not a golden round. You don't win 1 and that's it. You got to win 2 and you swap sides back and forth. Your economy will be resetting to the same amount, 5,000 credits every time. So economy is not really a factor in this anymore. It's all about skill and game knowledge. Penn State, they were able to keep their hopes alive here on Ascent. Now can they bring it home as they start an attack?
And that's the beauty of overtime now. It's a fresh slate. Each of these teams now going to be on the side they started the game on. So we do see Scarlet Knights back on the defense here. We see Penn State back on the offense. Penn State, we have seen, similarly to the Scarlet Knights, they like to take their time on these sites. They're not going to be going for too much aggression. The few rounds we did see them go for those very quick executes were the rounds the Scarlet Knights actually rubber banded that aggression back at them and took a few rounds off the board. So hopefully Penn State is able to go back to the drawing board here. Use a little bit of caution. Skirt actually going to be using the paint canister to take down Titans. And you got to wonder, what was Titans even doing there in the first place? Stepping out of position, stepping a little too far as the breach. And that's going to be Penn State down to just 4 members here with a minute passing.
Skirt must be able to see through walls or something, because every time they throw that paint shell, it's going to get damage done. That's the second time they've caught someone out in a corner where they tried running. I think it was the same person, too. I think it was Fozzie, actually. Or not Fozzie, that was Titans that fell that time. But I remember Fozzie fell a little bit earlier to that exact same sort of play. So great job by them. Great job by Best Student. And all of a sudden, this looks like a Knights win unless something goes terribly wrong.
30 seconds left.
Oh, Penn State now with Arrow helping claw back in this round. They're trying to find any members of the Scarlet Knights they can take down. There's very little info on where these Scarlet Knights defenders are. But Fruta giving away a little bit of that intel, going to take a few shots onto the Omen. There's only 9 seconds left, so this is Arrow truly having to book it to the site. He has been revealed, and that could be disaster because Fozzie's going to go down, and they know that the spike's being planted. He doesn't have time to pull out the gun, and the Scarlet Knights winning by playing the time to near perfection.
Yeah, plenty of time to defuse this. There it is. And it was just a great early lead. And again, it all started out with Skirt getting that first kill. You know, we can kind of tease them about their showstoppers not always hitting the mark. I think they're 1 for 4 overall, but their paint shells have been on point. Their blast packs haven't been too bad either. And I think one thing to note is also look at the kill differentials. We're going to see it again after we see this replay, but look at this. I mean, I think paint shells is such an OP ability because of it's not the first blast, it's the second explosion that really I think needs to be nerfed. But look at the KD. Everyone on the side of the Knights is either even or positive. And right now, the best for Penn State, despite, only being down 1 round, the best they have is even. Everyone else has a little bit of a negative KD. So I think that's a very interesting thing to look into, the fact that this game is so close, yet Scarlet Knights, they're getting a lot more kills overall.
Yeah, but for all we know, those kills may not matter. Because Penn State could come back here. They have themselves on the defense now. And with Penn State and Rutgers each taking a 6-6 split for both halves, it is truly right down the middle between these two teams in game number 1. You can see Scarlet Knights. We've also seen they like to take their time. They like to wait until that 45-second marker at minimum before they execute onto a site. They like to make sure Penn State has to think, has to second guess. You can see they've adjusted to this. Rezi K, time and time again, has been hovering around in the spawn, making sure that he can properly respond to anybody coming onto B site or A site. And that's very crucial to this Penn State defense because Rezi K, as we saw, gets the 4K, a clutch member of this team. He's going to have to be pulling out some clutch plays yet again because we're at 30 seconds on the clock. The Scarlet Knights don't have much time, so they're going to have to hit that go button. They're going to have to hit it fast. The arrow just misses there, almost damaging the Scarlet Knights, but does not do so. And there you go, Skirt jumping on the site, but he doesn't know someone's going to be waiting there for him. Arrow had the lineup, takes down the second. That's 2 kills there for Arrow. And even though the Scarlet Knights are able to get onto the site, they're going to give up a few members, but now they're taking even more. They drop 2 at the drop of a hat, leaving Penn State with 2 members to play defense with. And both of these members are very known on the map.
Yeah, but they know there's someone out there in market, but they can't get the door down before the kill comes through. Fruta on this flank might be the difference maker. The Knights are in a 1v3. The spike is down. Rezi K does not have a lot of health. Gets one. Can they get more? They cannot. Fruta gets a 3K. And in a very close map 1, it is going to be Rutgers taking it all the way. Wow, what a first game that we had tonight. That couldn't be any closer, I feel like, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I said it briefly. Both teams going 6 for 6 in both halves. Going into overtime, Scarlet Knights getting those 2 round wins. It felt like the Scarlet Knights were really, at some points, playing under what we expect. I mean, you mentioned it. The Scarlet Knights were out fragging the Penn State lineup. The scoreboard here is also going to say that, with every member of Penn State fragging under an even 1 KDA, or 1 KD, excuse me. And that really leaves you the question that, you know, there were rounds where Penn State was on, and when they were on, they were feeling it. But obviously, when they weren't feeling it, the rounds where the Scarlet Knights were winning it, they were steamrolling these rounds. And I think the scoreboard shows exactly that.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier on. I was mentioning, you know, like, I mean, sure, Penn State, they're winning early on, but I'm noticing you're giving up like 4 kills on your way. You only have 1 person that lives. That's no way to set an economy. You need to keep your credit strong. You need to not have to force buy every time. That's what happened. They just had to keep buying because they kept dying. And the rounds that Rutgers were winning, as you said, they were not falling whatsoever. So they were able to have a healthy economy much more often than not. But, you know, despite that KD, it was still just, you know, it was still overtime. It was still a very intense matchup. And we're guaranteed to at least have 1 more map here. So I think we could see, honestly, I could imagine Unbind more overtime. I think that's just how close these 2 teams are right now.
I mean, I hope for a good showing and we get overtime on Bind, because after this break, folks, we're going to take a look and see if the Scarlet Knights are going to get a 2-0 or if Penn State fights back on Bind and sets it to 1-1. We'll be back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Beanies Jag here, and we just finished a barn burner of a game number 1 between Rutgers University and Penn State University, where Rutgers took out Penn State at a score of 14-12 in overtime. And now, Jag, we've had a chance to enjoy ourselves game 1 of this series. It's been so much fun. We have a second game coming up, but if you guys are enjoying the show so much, if you guys are enjoying Conference 1 action, maybe throw a sub our way. Maybe think about throwing a follow our way also. And if you're interested, if you need a little incentive to throw us a sub, just look at what we're going to be doing as we hit these markers. From 70 all the way to 225, starting with a live power ranking show with myself, CF1 Prez, and Scotty, going all the way down to what I want to see is our main man, Scotty, CF1 Scotty himself, dyeing his hair white and pulling out the Blade Storm, giving us a nice Jet cosplay.
Yeah, and if you're excited about a knife show match, if that is what tickles you a little bit, that, we already got teams that are interested in that. This is not like a maybe. This is a definitely going to happen if we do reach this sub goal. So be sure to get your subs. Some of you got Prime subs. If you don't know where you want to spend them this month, definitely throw them our way, a follow as well to the channel. And like Vinny's just said, a Jet cosplay, that is the end all be all. That would be super awesome to have one day, because I feel like Scotty would really, really kill it. But right now, as we go back to the attention of our game, Rutgers, I wouldn't say they're killing it because it was very close, but they are the ones coming out on top, and they are the ones actually getting more kills as the game has been going on.
And, we brought up Rutgers having the higher frags. The scoreboard, they had the top 4 frags in the lobby on the Scarlet Knights side. So that in of itself is an accomplishment. But something we were actually talking about before we actually hit the show is what we're going to be seeing coming onto Bind, because Bind, being a map that's been around since the beginning, unlike Ascent, you tend to see these compositions that have really cemented themselves in, this is shocking to say, the almost year of Valorant competition that we've had going so far, and not just CF1 in general. But what's really curious is, are we going to be seeing this Sky from Best Student come out on Bind? Because I know that Sky was played a lot. I mentioned being in the Turkish Valorant finals. Sky is just showing up every now and then. A really good way to help a duelist like a Jet or like a Raze that doesn't have a flash themselves get in on the site. But I want your thoughts on this. Are we going to be seeing a Jet, are we going to be seeing a Sky on Bind here from the Scarlet Knights?
I would be pretty surprised here. But
I guess
I am going to be surprised, as it is already locked in. We might see some Astra, possibly. I remember. I will not say anything more about it in the meantime. And I was actually talking about this, though, with you for the side of PSU. I was saying that Titans is probably going to be going to a Phoenix, but I guess it answers your question about if there is
triple duelist
a Reyna in anyone's pool. Yeah, this is interesting. So they're going to go triple duelist initiator and a controller. Okay, it doesn't look like Justin's going to be doing it, but Arrow might be locking it in. We might be seeing. Nope. Okay, so we've just been baited all across the board. I feel like Justin's again giving you the Euro that you want to see. So Best Student going to the Sky is actually really surprising to me. I feel like if you're going to run Bind, you want to try to go for a double duel setup. I was going to say Raze and Phoenix is probably the best lineup you can have here, but they're just going to go, I'm assuming, with the Omen any second now, unless they really want to go risky and just not run a smoke. No, there it is. So yeah, it's going to be the exact same comp that we just saw the Knights win on, versus a little bit of a change from Penn State. And I think that's really smart on Penn State's side, but you and I were talking about this, and we were not expecting to see the Reyna here. We thought that there were better options on the board.
Yeah, and I was saying that I didn't really think Reyna was going to be a pick that the Scarlet Knights would be looking towards, especially with them not really favoring her on Ascent, as we just saw in map 1. I feel like that's the map where you would be seeing her. So going on the Bind, and I wouldn't really expect them to pull her out on the map that's not really as typical. But, looking on the Penn State side, they did that exact thing. And so I'm curious as to why they're going to be running the Reyna. And the changes, we actually got a chance to talk with MSU, with Miami, with their Reyna player. And he was saying how he thought the Reyna changes were overall a buff to the competitive scene Reyna play, because Reyna's able to now get those heals and get those disappears off of her teammates. And that's so crucial when you're aiming down a sight line and you're just spraying with your 1 or 2 other teammates and you get 1 kill and all of a sudden you have 10 HP. Well, now you can just dissipate out of existence for 3 seconds, not get touched, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, with this comp, running a Phoenix and Arena, you can use the Leer just to get them blinded, and then you can go for the flash with the curveball. So a lot of CC on the side of Penn State, as well as the first kill here on the pistol round.
Oh, Titan's going in with a flash. Then he still does get a kill on the other side, but will get dropped by Justin. Overall, 2 for 1, or excuse me, 3 for 1 from Penn State. Quick math is not easy, folks. But Zebek gonna be using these shock arrows, trying to find any cheeky little damage, but Resi K gonna be getting the kill on the Fruta, actually. A nice kill on the Resi K just for some collateral damage, but with Zebek fully giving away their position right now, it's not going to be too easy to take this clutch with just a classic. But that's a good start right there, actually. Taking down Titan on the Phoenix. Now he's going to make his way onto site. One smoke can be covering up the Sova, but doesn't check showers. An arrow lying in wait on the Omen. Going to be using that Sheriff to work. And that's going to be yet another pistol won by Penn State. They have won all 3 pistols in the series so far.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was exactly thinking the same thing. 3 pistol rounds, 3 wins, and also very good starts after winning those pistol rounds. I think on average they've won about 3 or 4 rounds immediately after, because Scarlet Knights, have been going for some interesting buys where they forced when they didn't need to, or they've just completely lost the bonus round that should have been theirs. But they still did win the first map. So, you know, all these stats, all these cool things that Penn State has done, doesn't matter when you're not getting the W at the end of the day.
So it's going to be important to see what Penn State does here. For those of you who don't know, a triple duelist composition is usually going to be better on the offense. You know, having 3 different entry fraggers able to get themselves into optimal positions for risky trades, get out safely, flash their way into entrances like we're seeing Titan do right here. And look at that. 3 members of Penn State really just getting themselves absolutely loaded with credits. Even, look, I think Titan got a molly kill actually there, so a cheeky way to finish off the round. And Penn State gets the first 2 rounds pretty easily under their belt.
Yeah, the hot hands did land and did get the final kill, but one thing they might regret is they didn't get the spike plant, and they had plenty of time to do it. They just kind of waited a little bit too long. They barely got it, or they almost got it. I don't think it actually landed. I don't think they got that extra money. So that's, you know, something that they kind of missed out on there. But they have won this 50 round before. They won it last time on round 3 when we were just getting into Ascent. That was not after the buy from Scarlet Knights. That was just after they were able to go for the bonus round. So even with the gun advantage, even with the superior firepower, I'm not going to write this round off just yet for Penn State.
Fozzie just sniffing it out now. A-site only being toyed with here. If you look at your minimap, folks, you'll see the majority of Penn State actually over at that B site. Titan giving away their location, followed up by the Reyna. Trying to deal with the Killjoy utility as Fruta is now just playing delay. Giving the team a chance to evaluate their options. And getting a kill will help out as well. Oh man, Fruta getting a double kill, taking down 2/3 of this triple duelist comp coming in from Penn State. And now with only Phoenix left to entry onto the site to flash their way in, it's going to be really tough for Penn State to find their way onto either B or A, especially with this Killjoy still sitting here on B site.
Oh, it is still Killjoy, and do you see where the spike is right now? It's like near market. It's not even really on B, and now it looks like they are going to commit as they use the flame wall. But Arrow is just trying to be as quiet as possible, like a mouse. But there's just so much Killjoy utility. Fruta gets 3, and now there is no chance for Fozzie. A flawless round from the defenders. That's what we expected last time from Rutgers. This time they do get it done on binds. Now we're going to see the first equal buy of this map. See how things lay out at the very end. Titans actually, I think they can't afford. Yeah, they bought full armor, so they can't afford it. And I was just looking at that. I was like, there's no one. They only have 3,000 credits after all of that. So it will be a bit of a light buy. Actually, they're gonna have to go for light armor, and then they decide to buy a assault rifle. So some interesting stuff there, economics wise. So it's not gonna be a full kind of kit. Titans have to sacrifice that extra armor, and that can be the big difference maker. Not when you get headshot, but when you get into a firefight and it's kind of spray and pray, you can lose that pretty easily.
Or you can win it pretty easily. I mean,
Here.
I don't want to...
It's a disadvantage, but you can definitely still win it.
I don't want to be too optimistic, but definitely, you know, you're just leaving it up to chance there. It depends if you're a gambling person, you know? Some people take those odds. Ooh, the bird just misses there from getting into the doorway by best student. Little misdirect on the bird, but nonetheless, does stave them off for the time being. But you can see Penn State looks fully committed to this site. They just need to find an opening. They need to find an angle. Maybe even a kill. Just get themselves onto site. But the Scarlet Knights defense is yet to bend or break.
Right here.
And you can see they haven't even committed their full team there. Fruta staying on the B site with the rest of the Killjoy equipment, making sure that they're doing Killjoy things. Staying alive. Staying alive.
They even have the lockdown. That's crazy. After 3 rounds, three rounds, they have the lockdown that comes off of the triple kill they got last time. They've been doing things really well, and that's another kill to add to the books. And they still have the sky, so they can get healed up.
Oh, Justin dropping Fozzie right there. They may not even need to get healed up. Actually, they can't even get healed up. Best student's going to get dropped, so there's going to be no way to get Fruta back up to full HP. But you may not even need that because it's only Resi K left on the offense. It's a 1v3. The spike's in their control, but the plant's going to come out. And just like that, Justin's going to say peekaboo, take down Penn State's Resi K. And we got us an evened out game at 2 apiece.
That's the play, honestly. You go for the spike plant. You hope you can get it down. Odds are you don't in that situation. You definitely don't, but maybe you get some extra credits. There's no reason to really keep your Vandal because no one else can buy, so you just be the kind of the awkward one who saves and there's no purpose from it. So they go for the risky play. It doesn't pan out, but they do have the Empress. That's something that's really important to know, is they have the Empress. The lockdown is alive on the other side for the Knights. They didn't have to use it that time. So there are ultimates on the board for both teams, but I doubt we're going to see the Empress this round because, oh, did that make it through? Oh, it made it right through the ceiling. Great placement, but they're not going to use it because all they have right now is a Sheriff.
Yeah, but you love the lineups right there because then it leads to some more damage. Skirt gets dropped to 79 HP. Little bit of armor left as well, but that's a good chunk of damage coming in from a shock arrow. Unfortunately for the rest of Penn State, though, Titans is actually going to go down. And so far, I believe in the series, Titans has really been struggling to perform. Started out well early on in game 1, but since then has really struggled to find their footing. Hopefully that Phoenix
It's really hard to
can
go.
help them.
It's really hard to go from Initiator to a Duelist. I mean, Phoenix does have similar abilities to a Breach with, the flashes, but Phoenix has to be a much more aggressive character. Breach, you can play a little bit more farther back. You can help your team set up. You can be more of a shot caller of that. Phoenix, you just kind of have to run into a fight and hope they were able to win mechanically. So it's different play style, different kit. Not a great result so far.
Oh, Resi K does get sniffed out by the arrow. Fruta is going to take down Fozzie with the grenades. Now Fruta gets a 3K, a 4K, looking for the ace. Going to find it. Fruta is going to be picking apart his opponents as Penn State going to fall one after another. And Fruta picks up an ace.
And this is a Killjoy that was fragging out back on Ascent. They weren't the top frag. Actually, I think they did get the top frag by the end of it, but they were usually the last one left alive. They weren't doing so hot in the early rounds. It seems like, we asked, is it a warm-up? Is it a flex thing coming out from the Knights? I'm not sure, but you can tell, regardless of what it is, now they are playing, at their highest level. They are really on top of things right now. For in particular, 9-2. The next closest score on their team is 3-2.
Jeez, that's a big deficit. But Justin is actually going to be dropped there. I was going to say Justin actually got a real nice jump, but Skirt was given the opportunity to take 2 members down from Penn State. Fozzie trying to find any way to avenge their fallen teammates, but 4 members of the Scarlet Knights are still going to get out alive of that exchange. And even with the spike in the possession of Sova here, it's not looking very promising for Penn State because look at all the utility the Scarlet Knights still have. Now Fozzie is fully exposed thanks to best student's Wolf. The flash comes out. It's going to miss. But yeah, there's not much hope right now for Fozzie. I think you got to try and regroup with your Reyna and try and take this on as a 2 versus 4. Not one individual. But that's going to be 1 kill, actually. Fozzie hoping to break it up, but does not break line of sight quick enough. Skirt taking them down. And the 2 remaining members of the defense are actually going to be showing up to the party late, giving a chance for Resi K to possibly grab the spike and book it over towards B. And that's exactly what they're going to
exactly
do.
what we
B-site
did. Yeah.
just has the grenade there too, Jag. That's... Ooh, this could happen. Penn State could do it.
They could, but the lockdown is still online. Look at this shock dart all the way in the sky. It's not going to connect, but pretty well placed. The nanostorm also going to be triggered already. And now they're going to be caught out by the recon dart, and they're going to try to pop the Empress. This is going to be very interesting.
Oh, that's big. Now there's going to be a 1 versus 1. This is where Reyna shines, and Resi K commits the ultimate and pulls the clutch out for Penn State, evening up the odds. 3 rounds apiece.
I think that would have been the perfect time for the lockdown to come out before you enter the site. You force this Reyna off, especially where the spike was. I think there might have been a great opportunity just to go for the fuse. Yeah, it was not visible from B long. So they could have just tried to do that. They could have just tried to force the Reyna off point, but instead Resi K gets the Empress off, stays alive, and yeah, that was a huge soul orb they were able to get out. They were able to Wraith, just see exactly where Fruta was coming from, find the kill, and now, I mean, Resi K, they're putting up a pretty good argument for them being the best player in this matchup. Both them and Fruta have 9 kills currently.
Danny still committing the Blade Storm. Arrow using that ultimate just to scout, getting some information on the Scarlet Knights defense. But there are some, there are some very predictable expectations. You know, the Scarlet Knights love to have Fruta sitting on B site, justifiably so. And that leaves these remaining 4 members to take on the offense. Justin going to be taking down Resi K, dealing with the Hunter's Fury behind them. And that's going to be Danny Steele dropping no value from that Blade Storm. You hate to see it when a Jet whips that out. And now the Scarlet Knights have the advantage, but with the spike in control of Fozzie yet again, this could be a chance for Penn State to slow the pace and now play mind games with the defense.
Yeah, they gotta kind of make the Knights feel uncomfortable here. They do have the Omen teleport, so they could try to go to that just to see if there's anyone on B. They've already sent the Killjoy back to B, so this is a bit of a slip push. And beyond that, I mean, Penn State, they're just standing still. They do not want to take this. Titans has to use, I believe, their hot hands just to get some health back. They were flowing pretty well. That's going to be the Omen teleport. That's going to be them figuring out where Titans is. But as you see, Titans goes for the rotation, but they had Fozzie's all at the spike.
And in that situation, you have yourself a Phoenix Flash available to you. If you waited a good 2 or 3 seconds, you can entry into lamps here with the Phoenix Flash, and you could take that trade. That just seemed like it was either a miscommunication or just getting a little too antsy, and Penn State falls apart because of it.
I think it might have been getting a little bit too antsy there. They were running out of time, so I think they had to make a move, and it just wasn't the right move to be made. I think once they were found out by the Shadow Step, I think you just have to, head for the hills, go for B, and then hope that the rotation won't be quick enough. Sure, there's a Killjoy waiting there, but it's still going to be a fight that's in your odds as a 2v1. They try to force A, they never leave A, and they die at A.
Well, it looks like they have heard what you said about A. They are looking towards B site now, maybe to change up their views. Fruta goes down early. That's massive. All of this Killjoy utility is now useless. It is just going to sit there, a nice novelty, maybe take a picture, send a selfie, post it, because you got time to kill and get the spike down. Because the Scarlet Knights, they're not even thinking of trying to control this site. They're going for the full retake. And even that's falling apart because now Skirt gets dropped coming in from the CT side. And the 2 remaining Knights are going to be showing up through Hookah. And so far, no one has been giving away their location. The Scarlet Knights have done that themselves, though. They showed where they were, and now it's going to be 1 taken down, 1 left standing. Nobody can handle the pressure. Danny Steele, though, turns it into diamonds, and Penn State ties it up.
The craziest thing about that round win for the Knights is that the only person, or actually for Penn State, my bad, is that Danny Steele, I believe, was the only one who actually bought a gun going into round. They're the only one who had a Phantom. Everyone else had sidearms. So I think they just caught Wrecker so off guard with their aggressive play onto B that they kill Fruta early on, and then they just take point, and then they take the guns from the kills they get. So even though they didn't buy, they were at full firepower, and then they just had a really, really good hold on the point. They had some playing near beat long, they had some near spawn side. They just knew exactly how to hold that for the retake. No retake was given, and shocking as it may seem, we're tied up for what feels like the bajillionth time in this series.
I know, it's just back and forth. It feels like at this point, We don't even need to say anything. It's like, all right, is there a lead? All right, the lead's
The
gonna be gone.
expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how long until this lead is gone, really? Not a matter of if, more so when. Fruta staying alive now. Gonna be doing a good job at that for the time being, but Hookah is getting packed out by Penn State. The Lions are filling the cage. They're looking to pounce. Danny Steele, though, does get caught out. Cheeky grenade locations right there by Fruta, and you love to see the creativity, guaranteeing a half HP bar jet, and that's going to be a dead jet now entering on the site. It's going to be a run it back used as well. No value found from that. Fruta, though, going to be picking up a double kill after getting a nice set of damage on the jet. Going to be a third kill for Best Student, and with Arrow being the last remaining member, Skirt joins in the fun as well, and the Scarlet Knights break that tie and get the 5th round on the board.
Best Student must have like 4 health after that. I saw their health bar go all the way down to almost 0, but they do live. It is flawless. And I think there it's just, Record Stealing, fool me once, can't fool me twice. They tried the exact same play. They do it actually a little bit slower than the first time where they try to rotate to B. They go through Hookah, and there's just 4 people standing there. The rotation is there from Rutgers in time, and even if it wasn't, Fruta has just been hitting shots all day long. They have been on quite a tear. So I'd be scared running into them even if I had a 5-person squad at my back. This Killjoy has just been holding it down.
Oh, Justin spraying and praying, taking down Resi K through the boxes. Now following along with the Sky Ultimate. Nobody will get caught out there. Titan trying to flank, but it's like a Scooby-Doo episode. They're all just doing a little do-si-do around the circle. No one running into each other, but the spike gets planted, and now the Scarlet Knights have a nice retake possibility here. They have a pincer set up from CT and from the Penn State spawn as well. And with the Killjoy ultimate being dropped from up there at CT spawn, Scarlet Knights are looking to take the site. Oh, but Titan has other plans in mind.
There's someone in showers, but it does find Titans out. Now it's a 4v2, but time is running out. They try to kill someone with their box. They don't get the kill there, but Skart is there for the final blow, and the Knights, again, are going to be guaranteed at least a tie going into halftime. Remember how this ended up on Ascent. It was Penn State bringing it all the way back to get it 6-6 by the end. So Knights, they're going to be looking for a lead because neither team has had a lead in regulation, or at least ended with a lead in regulation when it comes to, before the side swap or after the side swap. That's why we had to go to overtime last time just to end that game to see who could actually pull it out by the end. And Skirt going to be going for the operator. So this is a very interesting play. I'm interested to see where they play. It looks like they're going to be playing A site, but they're not going to be playing in heaven. I think they're going to be playing on top of some boxes. That's exactly where they are. They're playing right outside a U-Haul.
Oh, Skirt has the operator lined up, ready to run into Danny Steele's head. But does Danny Steele expect anything? No, he does not! Skirt gonna take him down. Justin dropping Resi K also. And it feels like those are the 2 playmakers on Penn State already eliminated from the equation.
Yeah, they're going to need someone else to step up right, and it looks like despite those kills coming through, they do want to approach A, especially with that recon ball. That's going to give a lot of information to where Penn State are going to try to approach this. Titan's going to play very aggressively into U-Haul.
Oh, Titan's getting very aggressive. Fozzie also joining in the fun, but Best Student and Justin each getting a piece of the kill. And Arrow now just trying to play fish in the barrel. And unfortunately, it never works out for the fish there. Best Student takes him down. 7-4. Scarlet Knights guaranteeing themselves an advantage going into halftime. And the most amazing part of this, I think, right now for me, Jag, is Penn State has triple duelist. And where does triple duelist excel? On offense. And what's happening on offense? This. So what's going to happen on defense?
I think a big part of that is because this is bind. There is no mid, and I feel like triple duelist really succeeds in taking over mid, where you can just try to play for a default pick and then rotate from there. But they have to run into sites where they don't have the advantage positionally, where they have to play choked, and they have to run into an operator from Skirts. It's just not working out for them.
Holy skirt, getting a nice shot there. Resi K now gonna run into another one as well. Skirt saying, hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Justin taking the shot in the Titans as he takes down Skirt as well. Penn State with just two members left on the offense. Danny Steele trying to make some plays, leaving it just up to Arrow in a 1 versus 3. And that's going to give away their position. The Wolf does its job. Now the Sova drone is going to be sent in. The double controller here. The Sova, the Sky. There is so much utility. There is so much information gathering available to this team that before they ever enter into a fight, they already know that they can win it.
Yeah, they'll know exactly where everyone is. I mean, look at their lineup. Everyone except the Omen and the Rays get information. You've got so much utility, like you just said. The Sova and the Killjoy are probably your best bets, but I mean, Sky, she can do some good recon as well. But look at this, the Skirt. Oh, that was just chef's kiss right there. And the Resi K is stuck out because of that. They're kind of caught off guard. They have to hide behind a box. Everyone knows where they are. Penn State didn't give themselves much of a chance there on that attack. But sides are swapped. It is halftime, and Penn State has excelled so far in the pistol round. They have yet to lose one, so if there's any time to try to start catching up, it's got to be now.
And now the interesting thing is going to watch Penn State try and play defense without a Sentinel. They don't have a Killjoy. They don't have a Cypher. So now leaving a site is incredibly one-sided. You have to commit to it. You can't return to it safely. If you don't have a way onto a site, you're going to need some kind of guide or so. But before we even deal with that, Danny Steele is actually going to be taking down Justin. And I guess that's what you're going to have to be doing with this triple duelist composition, is bringing the fight to the offense, rushing up that B long, flashing out, taking a kill from them, because that's how you're going to be getting the advantage. And once you have this numbers advantage, it's a lot easier to just start trading out kills.
It is indeed. There is someone very weak on the side of Penn State, but it's the Reyna. They can heal themselves up. They do fall, but it's not going to matter. Penn State, they are unstoppable here on the pistol round. Nothing can get in their way. Fruta has had some amazing plays, but it's a 4v1, and they don't even have the spike. It's down on the ground. They aren't able to find anything more than... Actually, they find 2 kills at the very end, so that was an amazing spray transfer there from Fruta. I did not realize that that was a double kill. That's insane. It doesn't get them the round win, but man, oh man, does that go into the highlight reel.
Oh yeah, that you gotta be saving up the montage clips. You gotta be saving them up. You know, that's when you put together your. Actually, you know, I've never thought about this. Do you think players have, you know, like, you know how there's like acting reels, casting reels? Do you think there's like player reels? Are they just like sending out like montage clips to like orgs and being like, "FaZe, sign me, please. XOXO, Gossip Girl"?
I think they're probably sending full VODs most of the time, just because like that'll give you a better idea of how someone plays over the course of a game. But I'm sure players have reels just independently for their own sake, and Resi K is trying to get something done on their team. This is the Penn State we've expected, and they have come back to life now that they're on defense.
That was dirty right there. Penn State on the defense, and now Justin looked like he was holding the keyboard and just the keyboard, and got a little scared there at the end. Scarlet Knights dropping 2 straight rounds here on their offense. And you know, as much as we were saying this defense could be a little tough with the triple duelist, maybe the Scarlet Knights are struggling a bit now with that raise, just not finding the kind of value that they're expecting to find from their lone duelist. Maybe they're just not taking these trades well enough. I haven't been, honestly, I don't have an answer for them.
I think it's really early on after the swap, and they have not been able to win the pistol round ever. That has been, you know, determined. 4 pistol rounds, none of them have gone to the Knights. So the fact that they lose 2 rounds in a row, I don't think it's a too big of a deal for them, because they were able to rebound last time on this bonus round, which was something they didn't do on Ascent. They were able to win 3 rounds in a row, so they have been trading positively, where, you know, they're losing 2 maps or 2 rounds, and they're winning 2 rounds, and that's the way you want to do it. As long as you're winning more than you're losing, that sounds silly to say, you're going to be always taking the map home, and Scarlet's going to take out Titans.
Can you believe Skirt wins a point-blank trade against a judge? That's going... That's
a little hesitation. Titan just hesitated a little bit too much.
It's that split second in the hesitation. You just wait a second to left click, and that's all that matters. Especially with a judge like that, you know that you need to hit those shots. You need to hit just one in the head, a bonk, and then they drop to the floor. But no such luck, and Penn State will now be paying the price with only 4 members on the defense, but the Blade Storm is active, so Jet does have immense kill pressure if we see the headshots landing, and that's going to be Danny Steele making sure the headshots do in fact land. The traded Paranoia has come out, lands another headshot, but can't finish off the 3rd kill. That's going to be Fruta falling. But Penn State left with only 2 members. No, scratch that. 1 member for the retake. And that's going to be Scarlet Knights taking their 9th round off the board.
Best Student has to be one of the most aggressive Skies I've ever seen in my life. And I think you can play Sky a bit more aggressive than like a Sage, for example, the only other healer in the game, because your abilities really enable you to get into fights. Your flash, your stun, like all that lets you like, you know, kind of push by yourself. But your team also relies on you to heal them up. So it's a very risky maneuver. There, I thought they would actually get caught out because there was someone in U-Haul. But instead of that person rotating to face them, they just immediately backed out and ended up running in it to Justin on the back end. So unfortunate, some misplays there from Penn State. But now they do have an operator in their hands. And knowing that, the Knights might have to back out of this.
Ooh, Danny Steele did just barely see an arm of, I want to say it was Skirt on the Rays. Just barely saw the arm. No shot fired from them on that individual, but Penn State still has the operator, and they still have all their members. So for the time being, this defense doesn't have to get too big for its britches. But it's always good to keep in mind that not having a sentinel means you have to be sure that you can retake sites safely. You can't be giving up much. And you need to make sure that you're confident with your shots, because if you don't have your Cypher, you don't have your Killjoy, you miss out on a lot of information gathering. Best Student.
Indeed, it's a little bit harder to do it on the attack, but there is going to be the ultimate coming out, and that's information, right? They know where Arrow is, but that's not the way you want to find out.
Oh, Rezi K is trying to find some wallbangs through showers. That's going to be the Killjoy ultimate going off. No players detained there, folks. So, zoning ultimate at its finest. Ooh, that Paranoia hits max range, I want to say. A double flash, and unfortunately, Titan can't land any killing blows, and Skirt turns it into a 2-piece for them. This Raze is fragging out right now for the Scarlet Knights, looking to pick up another, but Arrow on the flank, the tap, the burst, doesn't land the shots, and Justin, so precise, turning flicks, kills, and Fruta doing the same exact, taking him down. That's going to be Penn State falling at the hands of the Scarlet Knights again, and Scarlet Knights are in double-digit round scores.
And here's the problem facing the Knights. Everyone is just so good. They only have 1 player right now that's below double-digit kills. I mean, even the Sky is fragging out. I mean, Skart has really picked things up still. The Showstoppers have not been the best, but everything else beyond that has been incredible. Justin on this Omen has been great, and Fruta has just been on a different planet thus far in this map. They have been absolutely destroying anything that Penn State wants to do, and Penn State, things are starting to get a little bit desperate for them. They can't buy. They're facing the Sky Ultimate, and I mean, if they lose this round, they're going to be on the penultimate rounds for loss.
Well, they need to get through this first and foremost. The Sheriff Close Quarters isn't going to be pulling out too many nifty shots. That'll be 1 member of Penn State already eliminated, giving us a 2nd kill actually for the Scarlet Knights is Justin. And with the Skybird going onto site, entering for the team, giving them a little bit of safety, you're going to see teleports are coming through now for the Scarlet Knights. Skirt going to be picking up Rezi K, a big playmaker for Penn State, has now been taken out of the equation. And Danny Steele has 3 single HP.
3 HP and a dream. The spike has not been planted yet, so this is very interesting. And now it's only Arrow has a sidearm, only has a frenzied, actually has a phantom, but it's not gonna matter. Skirt gets 4. And it felt like the Knights knew they had that round in the bag. They were just waiting, and they were laying in wait. They didn't even plant that spike when they needed to. They had plenty of time. They didn't need to plant the spike at all. They just did it to get those extra credits. Help Zebek, the 1 person who fell, get another gun back. And I remember talking about this on Ascent, where I was saying, you know, this is where Penn State has to win, because then it goes to, at best, that overtime scenario, and they've already lost in overtime. The difference between then and now is that Penn State were much closer in the rounds. I think at that point they were at around 9 or 8. Right now they're not anywhere near that. They are down by 5 rounds.
Ooh, you have Skirt going for an aggressive peek here. Best Student following it up as well, getting a kill there. The flash actually gets run right past Best Student. The king of holding W is not letting go of that key, and that's going right into their spawn. They do not know the definition of hitting the S key, my friends. The Scarlet Knights take down Penn State for their 12th round win, and the Scarlet Knights are at series point.
2 out of 6. And it's a big one. Now Skirt actually takes the lead on kills 20, 10, and 4. So I know I'm memeing a little bit about the ultimate, but overall they have been playing so good. I mean, they got the first kill. They almost got, I think, the second kill as well with a wallbang. Yeah, they got an assist on that one. Skirt has just really turned it up since they blew themselves up, and I'm going to stop mentioning it. I'm sorry. It was a really fun thing to watch. But they have been dominant. Scarlet Knights have been dominant, and this looks like this is going to be the game right here. There are ultimates for Penn State, but I think you got to hit all of them right now to have any sort of chance.
Ooh. We have one ultimate being used, and that's going to be by the Scarlet Knights, who takes down Danny Steele. That's a big member gone for the Penn State lineup without their jet. Now the Empress will be used there by Rezi K. And that's going to be a crucial part of persevering in this series. Rezi K gonna have to show off the mechanics, show off the game IQ. And there's gonna be the first kill, but Fruta wins the gun battle. Peeks it raw, takes down 2. Justin gets a 3rd. And with 1 member remaining for the Penn State lineup, it's gonna be just the Hunter's Fury coming out. But Justin playing bait is gonna be dropped. And Rutgers are going to take down Penn State 13-6 in game 2 and 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, that is the series wrapped up nicely in Ascent. It was so close, but then we went to Bind, which was actually Rutgers' pick. We were wondering, do they like Bind now after they really Slip before? Well, the answer is yes, they like Bind a whole lot. Doesn't matter that they only have 1 duelist. Everyone on that team was a duelist in their own right. Everyone was finding kills left, right, and center, and you saw Danny Steele did try to do their best, but I mean, 4 out of the top 5 were on the side of Rutgers. Not surprising, seeing the round result. This was not nearly as close as Ascent was. Ascent, it went all the way to extra rounds here. It was ended in regulation pretty cleanly. There were some moments here and there for Penn State, but once they swapped sides, it seems like the game just fell completely out of their favor.
Yeah, and it really felt like they just couldn't get themselves going at certain points. The triple duelist is leaving a lot of questions in my head more so than answers. I wonder, what was the logic behind it? Why would they choose not to go with the Sentinel? Was there something on offense they came in expecting to do that just didn't work out? I mean, you got to be putting up more than 4 rounds on your offense with a triple duelist comp if you want to make any kind of noise in Conference 1. So that definitely leaves a lot of questions on the board, I think, and we may be getting some answers actually after this break, Jag, because we're going to be coming back from a short break and talking to Jonah, I believe, from the Scarlet Knights. And if not him, it'll be a fun surprise. So find out who we're talking to from the winning team after this. Yeah, we do. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the broadcast. Beanies and Jag joined alongside one of the winners from our match tonight. Best student from the Scarlet Knights. We're joined by the Sky player. And I guess I want to start off asking a two-parter. First and foremost, coming into this match with Penn State, you knew that this was you against the other undefeated squad. How were you feeling coming in? How did you feel preparing? And did you prepare anything specific? And then my second part is, was Sky a guaranteed for every map in this series, even if we went to a game 3?
For this specific series, yeah, Sky is guaranteed for your second question. For your first question, we didn't really prepare for Penn State. Like, I saw some of their VODs and I thought to myself, wow, these guys aren't that good. Why are they talking so much crap on Twitter? And then I looked at like their players and I was like, okay, they have like one or two decent players. But then like I looked at their, overall record versus like, in like VCS or whatever and like, on Spike GG, and they're like not good. I think map 1, like we really trolled. We really trolled. I mean, map 2, we also trolled too, but like we still won. So it's fun to win maps and win matches when we're kind of trolling. Like we played really badly, in my opinion. So it's good to come up with the dub.
So I gotta ask, I mean, you're just talking about what happened on Twitter. I think there was some really fun memes that came out, honestly. I did love the back and forth a little bit. Does that kind of banter add anything to the matchup? Does it really kind of like ignite a flame under you, or does it not matter? It's just the same old for you?
It kind of makes me feel like the other team is trying to kind of like get more clout or something, and it just makes me think they're really desperate, and I just don't like that. Like you could talk on Twitter all you want, but like I feel like you shouldn't talk too much smack until you have like some sort of decent winning against a good school. And I just don't think that the majority of the East Coast teams are that good, to be frank with you. So being undefeated in the East is like, you could get like 3 Immortal players on a team with 2 Diamond players and do that, which is what Penn State was to me.
Those are some fighting words, but I guess you can use them once you've won. I do know that Penn State does have a folder specifically for if they lost, so at least they were prepared for that. I think they're gonna have a little bit of fun at their own expense. But going back to the game, you guys decided to run a single duelist the entire game, and then you ended up winning on bind when the other team was running a triple duelist setup. So why did your comp kind of outplay what they were running, despite the fact that they had a little bit more aggression that they could use on their side?
We had like set protocols for if they go up A short or A showers, and what we do on default, and how we respond to people when they show up B and A. And it felt like they were never really able to break our default. So their 3 duelists like was supposed to be super explosive with the jet dashing into backside, but he never dashed into backside. So we were holding for that, but he never did it. So I thought he was trolling. And then the Reyna is supposed to flash out and get U-Haul control and duel the guy close with the Phoenix ulti, but they never did that when they had the Phoenix ulti. And then the Reyna obviously is supposed to pop off on B side where the Reigns, like the wide open is clear, but they never really executed B. They pretty much just jumped, like went into hookah and they got mowed down. So they never like got onto B, so that never really happened. So it felt like they couldn't even break our plan 0 to get to plan A. So it felt like I didn't really have to do much in the game. That makes sense.
It helps when you have Fruta putting up massive numbers in game 1 and game 2 on Killjoy.
True.
They're doing all the heavy lifting. You just throw birds and send out wolves and talk to animals. You're like Snow White, basically. It's the fun part of it. But I got a quick question for you before we end out this interview. I want to know, now that you have cemented yourself number 1 in this group and most likely going to be holding that going into split 2, and with your comment earlier, I want to know, is there an Eastern team that stands up to you? Do you think there's any team, even Eastern or Central, I guess, for that matter, that would go up against you and you think you would have a tough time? Because it sounds like you think West Coast is where all the real challenge is going to be.
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, I don't know if is OSU considered East or Central? What are they?
OSU, I believe, is considered Central.
So if they're Central, I think OSU is good. I think UHP is good, and I think UCI and UCPP, like University of Cal Poly Pomona or something. Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. And then one other, SJSU, is really good too. But other than those 5 teams, I think no one in the East is really that good. Like from watching the matches, and their VODs and looking on their Twitch channels, I don't think there's a good team besides us. So it's kind of cringe for us in the East Coast because we gotta get this shit like way higher, dude. This is not looking good for the people in the East, dude. If we're like the best team and the only team that's good, it's not looking so hot.
Well, fortunately, you got a whole other split to get that figured out, buddy. And, this is going to be the end of our interview for the evening. But before we go off, before we send anything off, I mean, you've obviously had a chance to share your opinions. But now, is there any thanks you want to give, any shout outs you want to give before the interview ends? Anything to end the first split for Rutgers, even though, you got one game next week?
Yeah, I think as a whole, like our team deserves all the credit. I mean, I didn't do very much at all. I think I trolled a few rounds too, and I was definitely negative in the comms because I didn't think they were that good and we were losing rounds, which was upsetting. But I do think that our whole team, like we showed up with this comp that is very teamwork oriented, right? And we pulled it off. Obviously, it's the Vision Striker composition, and we did a good amount of studying. Our Sova player, Mark, really stepped up. Our Omen player, Justin, is playing fantastically. Ivan is new to Raze, but he's still able to pop off and have lots of good clips. And of course, Fruta on Killjoy. I mean, he's a Cypher one trick, and he just picked up Killjoy. It's been like day 2 right now. I don't even think he knows half the stuff, but he's still insane on the character. So, I mean, like, if we're able to pull this off, I mean, I want to say that for next split, I want more out of the East, other teams, if you guys need help, I'm totally willing to help you guys get better because the level on East is not that good right now. And as much as I meme about it, I'm super grateful to, everyone involved, and I appreciate everyone, including Jag and yourself, and of course CF1.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. We appreciate you. That was a great series that we just got to watch at the hand of you and Penn State. So GG's all around to you guys. And that's going to be the end of our CF1 broadcast for this evening. But don't worry, we're going to be back with more CF1 action come tomorrow night because we got to see our Central region battle it out. It's going to be Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast if you're where I am, folks. And you're going to want to check out what's going on because the Central region, much like the East, continues to heat up as Split 1 is coming to a close. And on top of that, if you're looking to end your week with some fun, we have our CF1 Fight Night coming back again Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be playing some games. Casters, players, administration, everyone's going to be around there having a good time, and you're welcome to join us as well. And that's going to be it, folks. I've been Beanies. This has been Jag. On behalf of everyone behind the scenes, talking about Juke, talking about Lawrence, talking about Kiernan and Scotty, and Jonah himself, thank you for watching the stream, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. GG's. Well played.
I'm the only one alive who gave it to the earth.